This one's going to be very short and just make a couple of points. Paul speaks of a mystery, and he is speaking to the nations other than Israel. And it's a mystery, a secret that was hidden in God for all time. And the risen Christ tells Paul that if the powers that be had known, they would not have crucified Christ. Okay? Let's break that down just a little bit, because in the entirety, from Abraham all the way through Jesus Christ, death, burial, and resurrection, the nations, the only way for the nations to have a relationship with God was through Israel as proselytes. That was not a secret. That you can see that in the Old Testament throughout. The secret, though, was when they got to have a relationship. We got to have a relationship with God apart from Israel. And just so you know this, there is no Israel today in God's eyes. Now, man has created a nation of Israel, but God's program with Israel is on hold and has been on hold since the stoning of Stephen. So now God is only dealing with the nations. Now, Israelites, because they don't even know who they are, but Israelites can come to God this way also. The problem is religion, specifically Christianity, the church. They think that when Paul says that it doesn't benefit anyone, their descendancy, their bloodline, any of that, they think that that means that anybody who believes in Jesus Christ is an Israelite. They don't realize that there is no such thing as an Israelite. They enter into that replacement theology thing, which is wrong. That's why I've told you numerous times. The term born again is a term to Israel, because when Jesus Christ comes back after the tribulation to begin the kingdom on earth, Israel as a nation will be born again in a single day. Okay? But at this time, God is dealing with mankind through the grace that the Apostle Paul talks about, that he was given the message by the risen Christ. It's important that you see that. That's how God is dealing with mankind now. It's through grace. Now, Paul says when you try to mix the old with what Christ gave to Paul, it's an anathema. It's accursed. They can't be mixed. And that's what Christianity is doing. They're mixing them both together. And they're just off. Because they don't understand the couple of overlying things. First off, that God had a plan. He had a plan, and his plan is being accomplished. And his plan is being accomplished through ages of time. You can call them whatever you want. You can call them dispensations. You can call them ages, but God does things differently in each age. And if you don't understand that, if you're trying to do now what they did then, it's not going to work. God is dealing with mankind through the message of the Apostle Paul. Now, he's going to pick up his program with Israel again. They are not permanently removed. They were put on hold. Okay? So I want you to see that, because you're going to hear lots of different things especially if you talk about dispensations or ages. People are confused because Christians, religious organizations, they think that Peter and Paul were teaching the same gospel, just to different groups. And that's just not true. So, again, there is no Israel right now in God's eyes. They will be born again in a single day when Jesus returns at the end of the tribulation. But we're talking about something different now. Paul calls the group who get this message the group of, they're called the body of Christ, and they're known as the especially of believers group. See, you hear Christianity talk about them being believers. Paul's talking about a completely different group than them. A group that's not mixing these things together. Okay? This is the secret that God was going to deal with the nations through grace. And apart from Israel, they didn't have to come through Israel to get into a relationship with God. Okay? So, there you have it. Oh, and that's why it was a secret. I've told you several times that God, Jesus Christ, was the Messiah to Israel. He certainly was. But he was much more than that. He took creation back to the first Adam. All the way back. He took it all of it to the cross. And this will be the ultimate message, the grace of God. So, and the principalities and powers would not have crucified Christ if they had known that this secret, if they had known that. If that had been told, prophesied about, they would not have crucified Christ. Okay? I love you all.